Hello, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to Mysteries of the Unknown here with J.S. Moore. I'll be your host today. Today's November 22nd, 2020, and someone earlier that came to my house, they asked if I was practicing witchcraft. I said, "What do you mean?" They said, "Well, those cards, they're witchcraft." And, rather than trying to educate somebody that's been brought up to believe a certain way, and I'm not trying to push anybody's buttons because I live right here in the belt buckle of the Bible Belt in East Tennessee. Here's a little riddle for you. Where is the first instance, concrete instance in the Bible that fortune telling takes place? And who is responsible for that? Okay. So in Genesis chapter 44, verse 5, it talks about Joseph. We all know Joseph, how he was treated by his brothers, his coat of many colors, all these different things. And he was wise. He was very wise when it came to God's will versus man's will. Well, Joseph, if you didn't know, he had this silver chalice or this silver cup that he used for divination. So in Genesis 44, verse 5, it's one of the first instances that stands out to me in the Bible as to how the Israelites, the people of that time, came to come across certain prophecies and things like that. Now, there's a lot of dream interpretation in the Bible, in the Old Testament, as well as the New Testament. There's more so in the Old Testament. There's quite a bit of dream interpretation. But they use other techniques as well. It talks about celestial bodies, all these other things that you won't hear your pastors mention, and they won't want to talk about it if you ask them either. So I think it's interesting that if you really look back at the annals of time, people of the books, that would be what we know now as the Old Testament, the New Testament, the Torah, the Talmud, the Chron. If you know your history, more awful things have been done. The name of these books, than any singular other reason throughout history. One thing I think is interesting, and this, I always have a life application study Bible. I get these from Dr. Glenn Moody. Got my first one before I went into the Army, and probably around 1991 when his shop was right beside the Masonic Lodge, which is on the same street front as Shoney's, which was now recently torn down here in Kingsport. But I wore that one out. Got this one recently. But one of the neat things, I think, in this book, you start looking at the maps and other things, is way back here in the back. This may not be in your own Bible. This is a KJV. But here, look at this life application pyramid. You got principles, point, present, plot, parallels, place, priorities, people, and plan. When you start reading about this kind of guide, you really start examining it, this really parallels the three main maxims of Greek thought. The Delphic maxims at the Temple of Apollo have this pyramid. And at the bottom is know thyself. And at the middle is nothing in excess. And at the very top is you exist. Most people don't attain the you exist part. That would be enlightenment. At any rate, Christianity borrows heavily from other belief systems. When the Council of Nicaea met, I think that's the 4th century, what they decided on that would go in the books that they settled on, and there's 66 books, by the way. They borrowed heavily from the Greeks. Of course, some of the testaments are written in Greek, some Latin, some Aramaic, some the old Jewish, Hebrew, and there are some other languages there. They borrow heavily from the Zoroastrian beliefs of this duality, this good and evil, this constant struggle. If you know anything about Ahura Mazda and the Zoroastrians, it's an interesting parallel. Now, people today, when they talk about divination, they won't admit that it still goes on, that there's still practices of divination in their own churches. Where I live here, every church here practices divination, whether they'll admit to it or not. And to rely on a book and not rely on your heart and what tugs at you too, we sometimes have our cart before the horse. We think all the answers are in here, when in essence they're in here. Know thyself. Nothing in excess, moderation, and then the ultimate enlightenment. It's an interesting study. I'm sure this may trigger and push some people's buttons, especially in this area. People that want to say I'm an acquaintance or a friend. They may draw a line and say, oh, you've gone too far. But it's those same people that their whole life has been told something is right and something is wrong, that are out there judging others. When there's a gay pride parade here in town, they're the ones online just spewing the hate and saying that their way is right and the other way is wrong, and just sowing seeds of hate. That goes into politics as well. This thing of duality, the two-party system always fails throughout history. We know that. The proletariat and the Republic of Rome, the same thing. The Republican Party and the Democratic Party, ultimately they both serve the same master. They may appear at odds with one another, but they go to the same fraternal lodge meetings. They're part of the same system, the same plan, and that isn't a divine plan, but it's a mankind-imposed order that, it's fascinating to me to read Tolkien. When Tolkien talks about the Lord of the Rings and the one ring to rule them all, people don't factor in that these rings that he talks about aren't figurative rings. Ring is continuity. It's a circle. It's never ending. But ultimately, it's different religions, different belief systems. But the one idea to rule and govern them all has been, there's a historical pattern there. Before what we know as Christianity, of course, the Egyptians, their leaders, the pharaohs, wanted to say that they were descendants of the gods or chosen by the gods. And the reason for that was when the populace would go into upheaval and take over, they had very short lifespans, these pharaohs, because here they are at the top of that pyramid, this man-made pyramid, and they had their underlings, and then they had the peasant class. When the peasants revolt, of course, they're heavily outnumbered. Look at the storming of the Bastille. There's other things in history to look at there, but it is my belief, the people of the book, the Bible, the Chron, there's other books out there. Some of them are just kind of creeds and things to live by. The Tao Te Ching, it's not coming to me right now, but yeah, I imagine there'll be some blowback from this. But it's really important to look at our human condition, our human nature, where we're really not meant to judge. We're supposed to be the best that we can be and spread a good message, because those things are contagious. Positive energy is contagious. Negative energy is too. It is that you get what you give, but you project something out into the world as well. That's why I try very hard to excuse myself from negative people. I can usually ascertain right away whether it's something that they stand firm on, or if I'm led to say something, I will just say it and excuse myself from the room. Give them some food for thought. At any rate, I do hope that this message finds you well. And this Sunday, you're blessed, focusing on positive things and not spewing hatred. If you have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments below. If you'd like more examples of divination in the Bible, I can point to no less than 33 different books. Anyway, you all have a great day. Thanks for tuning in to Mysteries of the Unknown, J.S. Moore.